I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Yeah, just like last night's baseball game, Bill. Welcome in. It's Tuesday, June 10th. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop coming live from the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, they're going to do everything for you, all right? They offer free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, largest stock buildings in the Northwest, old school service. Why? Because they've been doing it since 1930, kiddos. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them, limbacklumber.com. M's Gut Punch. We got some Pac-12 news. Jim Duquette, MLB Network Radio, will join us. A full Ryan Divish today for everyone. We'll give it to everyone today. I got to bail out of here a little early. We've got Mary Lou, old gymnastics Mary Lou Retton, has been honored by the Ballard High School today as Rookie Athlete of the Year. So we'll be going to the assembly coming up at around noon today. So it'll be a little bit shorter show, but not by much, not by much. But because it's a little bit shorter show, we're going to give you the full Ryan Divish experience that we just wrapped up a little bit ago. All right. Social media platforms, follow the show, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. It's all Puck Sports, Puck_sports on TikTok. We post all of our video clips up there. So if you miss anything from the show and you want those quick little 60-second clips, we post it all up there. And also do that on Instagram and then on Facebook as well. All right, no Canzano today. Don't fret. And I know because it's a newsy day with the Pac-12 stuff. John is at his daughter's graduation, so he has an excuse. All right. Now, he did catch up with Pac-12 officials. If you don't know what's going on, the 8 members, and it's tricky because they didn't, in the reporting by Ross Dellinger, he didn't kind of make it clear because it kind of felt like, oh, they got a new member. It's the 5 Mountain West schools, Oregon State, Washington State, and then Gonzaga. So they still need to add an 8th member for football. Because remember, they've got 8 members now, but it's only 7 for football. They need an 8th. So that's not resolved. John's got the very latest up at johncanzano.com. Before he headed out this morning for graduation, he wrote a quick little blurb up at johncanzano.com. So if you want the very latest, go there and check out what he has to say there about the whole situation that's going on with the Pac-12. Ross Dellinger was the first to get kind of the details of it last night. We'll get into that in just a quick second. We'll have to U.S. Open. We'll give you more details about Puck the Picker Majors Pool, brought to you by Synthetic Turf Northwest. We'll get into that before Jim Duquette joins us here in a few minutes. Well, I mean, gut punch, I don't know what you want to call it. We got Bryce Miller news we can touch on as well. But that was just an awful baseball game. You know what? I'm glad because it's a game I did not watch last night. Our Ballard team, our all-star team, had their first scrimmage last night. And let me just be the first one to congratulate the Eastlake Little League for winning the Little League World Series. Shout out to Coach Emerson. Hey, that squad, if you live over there, you got a kid in Eastlake Little League, you're a parent, I would say this. I would start making reservations for Williamsport. I would start thinking about maybe it's a possibility because that is a hell of a baseball team. I have never, in the years of coaching Little League, been around Little League, seen it at all the levels. I've never seen a group of, and I think they're, I would assume most are 12. I'm sure there's some 11-year-olds in there. Hit the ball as hard as this group did. And using, for those who don't know, they use like normal bats in Little League. And then when they play in club baseball, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, they use these like juiced up bats. I've never seen anyone who uses the juiced up bats hit the balls hard as this team did. They had 5 home runs. A kid hit 3 of them. And one that traveled, I mean, 290, maybe 300, maybe. I'm not exaggerating. It was one of the hardest hit balls I've ever seen. Now, good hitting or bad pitching? I don't know. Their pitching was good. These guys are incredible. So I mean, so just kind of plant that seed. If you like the Little League World Series, you like all that stuff, and obviously things can change, but man, I haven't seen all the other teams in the state. And I'm sure there's great teams everywhere. That's a team. If you're into it, just mark them down. Eastlake Little League. They have got a squad over there. Thanks to Coach Emerson, all those guys over there for inviting us to their park. Wonderful middle school out there. Great. I mean, this middle school. Maybe I should move to the suburbs. This middle school is nicer than any high school in Seattle. Any of them. So because I was watching that, coaching that, I did not see the Mariners game. Caught up at the very end. Actually, got home and saw the ninth inning. That was the best part, right? Saw the ninth inning and saw the Canzone home run. I got a little blurb on Canzone that I think is going to be very unpopular with people and annoying. And I talked to Divish about it, and people are going to be like, "You're an idiot," and I know I am. But it just was a bad baseball game. They didn't do anything offensively for 8 innings, and then they finally do something in the 9th inning. Then they get the extra innings, and I just need to know what Dylan Moore's thinking. Dylan Moore's a smart baseball guy. He really is. He's made a life off because of, and this is a slight, but it shouldn't be a slight, because he's not like, he's not an all-star player. He's got to win on, his hustle and his athleticism and his baseball smarts, right? Why he's not tagging up in that situation, which is pretty like elementary baseball, ball hit to right field, you're always tagging. I didn't quite understand that. And Dan Wilson, I don't know if Dan Wilson was genuine in how he agreed with his decision not to go, or he was just sticking up for him, but that was a weird decision. With his speed, he's fast. Test him. Corbin Carroll doesn't have a great arm. Test him. Use your speed to your advantage. So we'll get him more into the Mariners here in a little bit, but he's waiting by. He joins us, and he's always on time. This is the thing about Duquette. This guy's always on time. He's never 1 minute late. He's always I say to him, 1:10 Eastern time, 10:10 our time. And you know what? This son of a gun's always here. You are very punctual. That's one of your best qualities as a person, my friend.
I appreciate that. It just goes back to the executive days. Like you start, and I ran the league in meetings, mostly because my owners wanted meetings every day. So I think we didn't lead many NL East division races, but we did in the meetings. And so I'm so used to having them on time. It's blended into my everyday life. So when I come on with you, 109:30, I'm connecting.
There's a lot to talk about. I want to talk about how I want you to rank the best teams in the NL. I want to get your thoughts on the Yankees, but let's first start. And then there's a catch last night that is remarkable. I've got the video. I want to play it for people, and so they can see this Denzel Clarke catch last night, and where does it rank there in Major League Baseball. But let's just start with the M's. Jim, they're in a free fall right now. And I was talking to Ryan Divish, who was taking a sabbatical of covering the team daily for the Seattle Times. And we caught up, and we both agreed this actually was the offense we expected to see all year.
Yes.
It's now, and they didn't happen the first month and a half of the season. You're like, oh my God, maybe they stumbled into something, but now it's reared its ugly head, and we're seeing the results right now.
You are. I think that this is, I don't think we should be all that surprised by it. I think, the hope was obviously would be a little bit better. Wasn't going to be as good as April. I think even at the time, we talked about this. I know any guys you had on, I think were skeptical that this would, continue, that they would come back to earth. Now, this has been quite a tale of two offensive teams. And, even with Cal Raleigh doing incredible things, it's been a lot of really bad offense overall. And I think that's the thing, when you were talking about the Moore situation, which I caught, like, you got to have, you can't make mistakes. You got to catch the ball. You got to pitch, which, they've been doing for the most part, even with the injuries. But, I think that more than anything, you cannot make mistakes on the base pass, they come back and haunt you all the time. And I think that, there's no margin of error. And it puts extra pressure on the pitching. We've seen this with the Mariners before. We've seen it with other teams too, like the Giants. They have, I think, the most one-run games of anybody. They've had 16 wins, but it's like, I just had Bob Melvin on, and he was talking about, like, yes, you are battle tested in those situations. You'd rather not have close games, tight games, any of those things. And I think that kind of, I feel like in a lot of ways is emblematic of the Mariners at the moment.
Yeah, and it just begs the question. I mean, you start looking at the holes of what they have offensively, right? And these are just the same ones that we discussed before the season started. There was going to eventually be, there was a hole at third base, there was a hole at second base, there was a hole at first base, and there was a hole at DH. And they all remain problematic right now. Now, the Williamson thing is that, but again, Williamson's called up out of necessity because of the Polanco situation. Cole Young, he earned his way on the team at second base. So again, I'm going to let's let the Cole Young thing play out. But case remains at DH. When Raleigh's not doing it, case remains at first and third. And right field's a problem now, but right field wasn't a problem going into the season. It's been a problem because of the Robles injury.
And I think that's the thing. Even, Robles, whether you liked the signing or others liked the signing, I was concerned about it. I said it last year, and just in the sense, not because of the injury at all, moving forward, is he hasn't been a good offensive player outside of Seattle. And we have a long history of that. So expecting him to be a good offensive player in a really difficult ballpark to hit, I thought was too much. So, I think that, we'll see what he looks like when he comes back. They clearly missed the obviously the offensive contributions, or even the depth part of it too, which is another area that is concerning. Is they don't have a lot of depth on the offensive side. They clearly have to go out and make a deal of some kind. I had Justin Hollander on my show on Sunday, and we asked him if there would be ownership, if there would be money, ownership support for the team in a trade deadline. He said there would be. Now, and you always take that with a grain of salt, but I think that.
Can I stop you? Do you know how many times people in this town have heard that line?
Oh, it's almost like, I'm trying to remember. We had it was my radio show back when King Felix was a Mariner. There was always this talk about, are they going to trade King Felix? And Jack Zarensic was the GM at the time, who's a buddy of mine. And he came on our radio show and he said, we're not going to move King Felix. He's going to be a Mariner. So we clipped that. And anytime a caller would call in and say, is King Felix going to be traded? He'd be a guy. We would just play what Jackie Z had to say. Yeah. Well, when it comes to ownership and they're spending money, we could take what Jerry DiPoto has said, or Justin Hollander for that matter. Either one of them, it's the same answer. Yeah. Until they actually do it, you're never going to believe it. So, I think that part of it, listen, this is a tough stretch for them. What have they lost? 11 of 15, 12 of 16, I think it is. Yeah. Something along those lines. So it's never great to evaluate a team during those struggles, just like it's not good to do it when they're, really, really hot. So the hard part is I think that they're kind of where I expected them to be. Like they're right around 500, battling a little bit, and they're just short on the offensive side.
And it's not enough to surpass the Astros. And this is the thing that's troubling about them, is like this is the worst Astros team they've ever had to compete against during this period of time where they have been successful. And they trail them now by 3 games, and they've got their best offensive weapon's not even playing right now in Yordan Alvarez.
That's the hardest part. And they've had injuries on the back end of the rotation as well. But here's the other thing. I don't know, again, always trying to find silver linings until they're out of it. And the league itself, the American League itself is just not great. Outside of the Yankees, there's not an elite team beyond that, not including the Astros. And so, and Texas for me has not played anywhere near as well as I thought they would. And the Athletics have just been gross. I'll call it gross. It's been really bad how poorly they've played, and the Angels probably played a little above what I thought, but I don't think, when you look at the wild card as an example, the bar is all that high. If the Mariners could get back to, a little closer to what they did, or if they could get healthy, which is always a big if, but if they could do that, they could, I think still make the postseason, but it's going to be tough. Their margin of error, like a couple of other teams in the American League, is really small.
So how you talked to Hollander this past Sunday? I mean, what indication of how aggressive do you think that they'll be? Now, again, they'll say one thing, and you're like, okay, well, let's see it. And let's to their credit, they were aggressive last year.
Yep.
Or they got the best hitter on the market at the time, and that being Randy Arozarena. A couple of years ago, they got the best pitcher on the market, Luis Castillo. So I don't want to say that they get to the deadline and they just completely don't do anything, because that would not be fair to them. But did you get a sense of urgency with them or with him about this year's deadline?
No, I did feel like they were going to be aggressive, and like you said, you always kind of hold your breath a little bit in that area. With it, this is not a Mariners thing necessarily. It's what it really with a lot of teams around the sport. Like you even if you go in and say you're going to be aggressive, you may end up not matching up. It's harder these days, and there's not as many sellers this year so far. The sellers, I'm not calling Baltimore yet, but some of the sellers that are out there don't have a lot to buy, like Pittsburgh and the White Sox and the Marlins are teams that you're not really. There's not a lot of talent. Washington, I think, is going to end up being a seller. There's not a lot of talent that they're going to actually make available. So that's what makes the Diamondbacks, if they fall out of it, interesting, and the Orioles and the Braves, those three teams in particular, if they become sellers, it's going to be expensive, and you're going to have to give up some talent. So. That's what makes it hard to predict. But there was the feeling that they were going to be aggressive again at the deadline. The question was, like anything, when does it usually start? It's starting a little later these last couple of years, and it usually starts to heat up in early July.
How would you advise like a team like Arizona? Obviously, there's going to be a connection with the Diamondbacks because of Suarez. Would Suarez be available? The Mariners could use help there at third base. Certainly could. Well, and if they wanted to leave Williamson at third, they could just make Suarez the DH if they wanted to do that. But they need help offensively. He could provide that. But the Diamondbacks, you'd be like, well, I guess we're kind of in it. I mean, they're 5.5 back of the wild card. There's no chance in that division they're going to win that. And even in the division or even the wild card, I mean, you're jumping the Giants and the Padres who are in their division. So
right.
When should they make the call? Because it feels like if I were looking on the outside looking in, I would say I'd make the call now.
Yeah, and a lot of times, it's hard to do because when you give up on your fan base, will show their displeasure by not showing up to the ballpark, and then you start to get into the financial aspect that your owner doesn't like to do. So that's why it keeps getting pushed out further and further. At least in this particular case, Arizona, everything is trending in the wrong direction. With Burns now out with Tommy John, Corbin Burns. You've spent over $200 million. I mean, talk about some bad luck. They spent a ton of money on Eduardo Rodriguez, who's been awful and he's been injured. Burns, who's out now for the year. If you go back to Madison Bumgarner, that contract 5-year deal was not very good. So there I think some things that are their closer last night, Justin Martinez, had to be taken out of the game with an injury that looks also like it's an elbow injury. You know what I mean? So everything is trending in that direction. If I were advising him and I'm looking at them, everything is kind of telling me that we don't stack up with their other good National League teams. I would sell. And so Suarez would absolutely be a fit. The problem is there's a couple other teams that could use him too, and offensively. But, right now they're still they're hold, I would say, not buyers. They're hold. They're just not as good as those other three teams in the West. You
touched on, and I certainly agree with you. It's the Yankees are the team in the American League, and then it just kind of feels, it's them, despite the Tigers. I think someone's listening to this show in Detroit right now going, excuse me, hello, we're 43-24. Playing great baseball, but I've always got the sense from you, not that you don't think they're a good team.
Yep.
But that you're not convinced it's a championship caliber team. Is
I'm
that
not,
fair?
That's fair. I'm not convinced about the offense, even though there are times where they look like they're a, impactful offensive top of the league type of offense. But there's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of unproven talent, and they wrote out a month of May where Javi Baez, who's been one of the worst offensive performers in the league for 2 years straight, all of a sudden he started to swing the bat well, and I wasn't believing that at all. Torkelson, is their first baseman, and he had a bounce back year, and then he had a downturn. So they have some unproven guys that I'm not quite sure they're impactful yet. I don't know if they have enough depth offensively to have that type of offense that you look for in a let's say a premium team like I do, let's say the Yankees. But they're in town here in Baltimore, so I'll get a good look at him over the next couple of years, a couple of weeks and days, and I do think they're going to be aggressive for sure on the offensive side of things. So, they have plenty of pitching. Their offense I like better than the Mariners.
Sure. In the National League, it's just like I'd like you to rank them. Rank the top team, the top 4 or 5 teams, because in the National League, it's a very different story in terms of who can win it all than the American League.
Yeah, I think when I look at it, I go, Mets Dodgers are the clear favorites there. If the Dodgers are healthy, they're the best team, but there's so many injuries. We talked about that last week. Mets are really good too. And I think the Cubs are next. And then after that, the Phillies, who haven't been playing well, I still believe in them. I believe in the Padres. The Padres are good. Like, right, those 5 teams or 6 teams roll right off your tongue fast. San Francisco, I'm not quite sure about. Their offense has been brutal. They've really gotten by with excellent pitching. I'm not believing St. Louis personally.
Are they kind of the Detroit version of the National League?
I think so. I think the Giants, for me, that's a good comparison. They have a little more experience offensively, honestly, but I think, I think those 2 teams are very, very similar in my mind, and so and they actually were on a bit of a downturn, and now they've turned it around. I think they've won 5 in a row, or 6 of 7. So I think that's kind of the mix. I was really convinced that the Braves had gotten themselves out of that early season issues and problems that they had, that 0-7 start. They have really been exposed. Their offense has been inconsistent, and their pitching's been bad, and they've had some injuries too. They could be a seller at the deadline. There's not a ton that they would sell, but they could. 1 or 2, like Ozuna would be an interesting guy for somebody.
What's the Kyle Tucker contract going to be in the offseason? And what are the odds he stays in Chicago?
I think they're pretty good. He stays in Chicago. They have the money to sign him. I think, though, his dollar amount, if he has a big year, like I think he will, he's going to be pushing well into the 300s, I think. He's young. He is only a year and a half older than Juan Soto. Then those numbers get large because there's not a lot of good premium hitters. He can defend as well, and he's young. And you start looking at 12-year deals, 13-year deals, and you go, okay, well, he's a at least $30 million a year per player, and you give him 12 years, it adds up fast, right? It goes to 360 in a heartbeat. It wouldn't shock me if it was in the high 300s.
Yeah. One thing I was just looking at the standings real quick. And, one thing I like about sports, and I always think sports is better when it's like this, when it's the recognizable teams, the kind of the Mount Rushmore teams are on the top, right? They're competing. You look at the Yankees are leading the American League East. Now, Detroit is not one of those teams, but Detroit's like a good, solid baseball name there in the Central. And then you look at the National League, the Mets, Cubs, Dodgers. I mean, all 3 of those teams. We're talking about the Cubs. I always think it's better like when the Yankees are relevant, or even the Red Sox are relevant, certainly the Dodgers. I always think baseball is more fun from a national perspective when you have a team like the Cubs in contention playing great.
Yeah, and if you look at that ballpark, when it's full, in Chicago, day games, right? It's beautiful. Like Detroit's another one of those, like you were saying earlier. That's been full. If you watch that series against the Cubs in Detroit over the weekend, they drew over 40,000 every game. Yep. It was electric there. So, I kind of view that and view the attendance, each, like Fenway Park, when it's full, when they're playing well, It's great for the profile of the sport. You know, you and I love baseball like we do. Like it's always good when you have the higher profile teams. Not necessarily that they're there at the end. You know, they don't have to be, although it doesn't hurt. Like last year didn't hurt having the two high profile teams, you know, and all the attendance and the viewing that we had over in Japan and all that. So that's good for the sport, short term and long term. But yeah, just having them be competitive, I think, is a good thing. By the way, you see the Central, both Central divisions have 4 teams over 500 right now. The only divisions, you know, it's one, and you just kind of we all kind of overlook it, but both of those divisions have been pretty competitive so far.
Oh yeah, a lot of good races out there. All right, we teased this in the beginning. Many people are calling this the greatest catch maybe ever in Major League Baseball history. Denzel Clarke last night for the A's, and we've got it for you. So the volume might be a little loud, so I apologize. But here's if people who have not seen this is Denzel Clarke from last night.
And this one to center field. Denzel Clarke on the move back after he stepped towards home plate and makes another catch.
Oh my God!
Back-to-back weeks where he wins the electric play of the week, and he's already on the leaderboard for this week.
You go ahead and book it. I've heard the list. I've seen the list of the greatest catches you're ever going to see in your life. If you don't have room for this one on your list, we're watching 2 different sports. I mean, Denzel Clarke climbs the ladder and then hangs out. You want to talk about playing above the rim, folks. This ball is out of the ballpark by 5-6 feet, and Denzel says, nay, nay, give it that back.
Can we talk about...
All right, Jim, where does it rank for you?
That's amazing. That is so amazing. You know, the only thing that it lacked was the moment, right, of the game. So, like, it wasn't a postseason game. Outside of that, it's the best catch you're ever going to see. You can't how the heck do you top that? Maybe, you know, I remember Torrey Hunter made a catch at Fenway Park in the ALCS. This is back in 2013 against Big Poppy. He flipped over the bullpen fence, basically caught it, went into the bullpen. Griffey has made some unbelievable catches where he like left spike marks on the wall. Andy Chavez with the Mets made a catch against the Cardinals in 2006 postseason. He robbed Yadi Molina of a home run. They ended up losing that game, but that was an unbelievable catch. This one is the best one, if you just were grading it out on catches itself, because of, you know, the timing of it, how high, how he went up over the fence, almost, you know, I mean, basically his waist was over the fence too. Like all of those things. I don't know. Have you seen one better than that?
Well, I think the one, and I think a lot of people have brought it up. You mentioned it was a 90 with Griffey and Barfield. I think if there's one that's close, it's the Griffey Barfield one. Now it probably, I mean, out here it's gonna carry more weight than obviously Denzel Clarke, because he's our guy. It's in Yankee Stadium. There's the history between, you know, his dad and the Yankees, what Griffey eventually said about the Yankees, all of it. But I would say, having looked at both, it's hard for me to vote against Denzel Clarke, and it's not being the recency bias or anything like that. It's that it was incredible. That was an incredible catch, and he's almost fallen over the fence.
I don't know how he didn't, you know, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how there's just no way with all the momentum and everything else. I don't know how he didn't flip over the fence, but the Griffey catch was amazing. Oh, there's one other one. Gary Matthews Jr. had one when he was with the Angels in regular season, where he climbed the fence and kind of caught it, like not really, almost not looking type of catch, you know, it was that sort of thing. His was really, really good too. But there are, it's amazing. The really, really good ones, they come to your mind quickly. You almost know the time of the year, the game, the ballpark, like they just stand out and they stick to your brain because there are so few of them. And this is one that's going to stick. You know, he made one week and a half ago. You heard in the broadcast in Toronto. He's Canadian, and he made that in Toronto in front of a lot of his friends and family. It was pretty darn good. I thought that was the catch of the year until he did that last night.
I got one more thing for you real quick. When you talked to Hollander and in recent conversations with other executives around the league, what does your gut tell you about what you think they'll do with Harry Ford? There's been talk out here. Do you bring him up? Do you back him up with Cal Raleigh? Some people say, well, that's not a great idea. He's only going to catch once or twice a week. He needs to catch more. Jerry DiPoto came out and praised him the other week, talking about how great he is. Yeah. A lot of us read into that this is just him publicly praising him to increase his trade value. What's the sense you get with what they'll do with Ford?
There are ways to, bring him up and get him at bats, and you could DH Raleigh, once or twice. That catcher's position can be a grind as the season goes on. The thing is, Cal plays all the time, so it's really difficult to do. In the end, it wouldn't shock me if they brought him up, for a little bit. But they're in a predicament where if there was a team out there that needed, catching, I could see them moving him, in certain circumstances. So I think that one's still up in the air. We didn't ask Hollander. We've asked Hollander and DiPoto both in the past about him, and they always sing the praises, like you're gonna with your top prospects.
Sure.
You don't want to denigrate them, but in the end, I think most people around the league, and I think I feel the same, that I wouldn't be surprised if they moved him, if they traded him.
Thank you, sir, for your time every single week. Love having you on. Jim Duquette, RGM MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM Channel 89. Follow him on social media, Jim Duquette, GM. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next week. Thanks, Buck.
There he is. Oh, I cut him off real soon. Sorry about that. Sorry, Jim. Denzel Clarke, that's the great thing about sports. It's all a debate, and everyone's got their own opinion. But that's a pretty spectacular catch last night there by Denzel Clarke. And yes, certainly a lot of comparisons to, Griffey had one in Detroit we talked about. He brought up the Gary Matthews one, did Jim, but also, I think the Barfield one just comes to my mind, immediately when I saw that. In fact, it's in the open of our show that we play all the time. All right, before we're going to get into Ryan Divish here in a moment, but first. Let's give you just an update. U.S. Open and all of our golf coverage brought to you by Synthetic Turf Northwest. Puck the Picker Majors Pool is back, brought to you by SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com. Tired of that muddy backyard? Look at this beautiful backyard. Look how pretty it looks with that 3-hole putting green. Tired of the cost of watering your lawn? Synthetic Turf Northwest is pet-friendly. They do synthetic lawn installation, custom turf installation, and with golf here, give you a golf green installation as well. Sign up today, SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com. That's right, and it's Father's Day. Get your father what he wants. The perfect gift this year by, doing for him? Getting him a new lawn. He doesn't want to deal with that lawn anymore. Brand new lawn and putting green from Synthetic Turf Northwest. Your dad's tired of mowing the lawn. He's tired of watering it. He'd like his weekends free. He doesn't want a tie anymore. He doesn't want a coffee mug that says, "You're the best dad, dad forever," or a card that you wrote 10 minutes before you handed it to him, all right? The dads, and I get it, Mother's Day is a much bigger deal because they are the foundation, the rock of the family. Your dad's a great guy too, all right? I'm speaking to my kids right now. Your dad's a great guy. Get him something. And I'm telling you right now, nothing would please your father more, your husband more for Father's Day than getting him a brand new synthetic lawn from Synthetic Turf Northwest and then put in a putting green so he doesn't have to go to the driving range or the golf course to work on his putting. He can stay at home and work in the putting in the backyard. Synthetic Turf Northwest. Visit them today, syntheticturfnorthwest.com. Proud sponsor, exclusive sponsor here of Puck the Picker Majors Pool. It's back again this week, U.S. Open. If you are playing in our Puck the Picker Majors Pool with first place prize on the line, stay and play package for two rounds of golf at Gamble Sands. What a prize package this is. Second place is a foursome at Fairwood Golf and Country Club. Third place is at Mill Creek Country Club, a foursome. Fourth place is a foursome at one of Seattle Premier's and Troon's golf courses around the area. That's Inner Bay, that's West Seattle, that's Jackson, and also Bill Wright. Okay? So If you get your picks in, if you're late to the party, you missed the Masters and missed the PGA Championship, you're out of probably winning it. You're out of winning it. You're too far behind. Next year, get in early. But for those still alive, you've got until, Wednesday at midnight to get your picks in. And, go to pucksports.com, Puck the Picker, Majors Pool at the top. Get your picks in. And, again, all of our coverage of our season-long Puck the Picker Majors Pool brought to you by Synthetic Turf Northwest. Visit them today. Get that brand new lawn for your father. Not a tie. He doesn't want a tie anymore. No one wears ties anymore anyways. Okay? No one does. No one goes into work anymore. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com. Reminder, Travis Fulton from our golf instructor, former analyst at the Golf Channel, now host of the Stripe Show podcast and golf instructor of the Travis Fulton Golf Studio. You can visit his website at travisfultongolf.com, his YouTube channel, Travis Fulton Golf. He'll join us tomorrow at 10:10 to give an update and a preview of the U.S. Open at Oakmont, which looks like it's going to be diabolical. The conditions there look amazingly hard. And for some people, they like that. And then for other people, like our good friend Jim Moore, doesn't like it. Doesn't like that it's going to be so hard for these guys. For me, I like that it's difficult. I think it should be a test and should be a challenge and shouldn't be easy and all that kind of stuff. I figure that it's got to be hard for all of us. All right, Ryan Divish coming up here momentarily. And, of course, I can't find the Ryan Divish video that we had. Of course, I probably saved it someplace else and not in the exact spot where I was supposed to save it. So this, you know what I'm doing right now? This is called me stalling to actually find where I put the Ryan Divish show. And this is what makes live entertainment so good. Because now I'm like, where the hell did I put it? It should be in there. I know it's in there, but where did it go? I don't know. No idea. We'll find it here momentarily, and we'll get it up for you, and we'll play you the full Ryan Divish. What a putt. This is when you're scrambling, and you're trying to do so much stuff all at once. You know what I mean? And then you're like, you forget where you put something. This is a very Jim Moore moment. We'll bring it up with Jim coming up tomorrow when he joins us. Travis Fulton again will be on. We'll have Canzano on tomorrow, by the way. John is going to join us tomorrow. Again, he wasn't on today. Pac-12 news, we didn't get into that, even though it was on the rundown. We didn't get into what the Pac-12 news was today. They had a meeting. Ross Dellinger had the report yesterday. The Pac-12, the 8 members had signed the grant of rights and membership agreements. A new media rights package should follow there shortly, expected in the coming days. John Canzano at johncanzano.com reports and then put it out in his piece today that expect a lot of the same partners that you saw in that TV deal that is for this year for football. So CBS, CW, sprinkle in a little ESPN. So think of it like that. Now, what caught everyone's attention, caught my attention too, is that when they said the 8 members. Then I'm like, 8 members, did they get in agreement with another football team? Because the 8 members are the 5 Mountain West schools that we know are already coming, Oregon State, Washington State, and then Gonzaga. And so Ross didn't clarify that, and it kind of confused me for a little bit. But they still need to add another member for football. They have not done that yet. So they still need to add another member for football. But it does not appear, if you read Canzano's piece today, does not appear that that's going to be UNLV. That the quote that Canzano had from a source within the conference said about UNLV, quote, less and less of an option is UNLV. Now, maybe things can change. Who knows? Maybe it's a negotiating tactic for UNLV and the Pac-12 right now. I'll be disappointed if it's not UNLV. It's a perfect fit. Time zone, all of it it fits geographically. Now, John had mentioned, we've talked about it before. We talked about it last week. Texas State. If it's Texas State, fine. I'll learn to eventually like it because it gets them to the 8 football members and this growing and changing landscape of football and college athletics. It always changes. I'm just telling you initially, very lukewarm on Texas State. And it's and I know John said the same thing last week, and we both agreed last week that it was lukewarm. I think there's some Texas State fans that got upset about it. It's not a commentary on your school or any of that. It's just Texas State and Texas does not fit the Pacific time zone. And I know they flirted with the University of Texas years ago, right? God, imagine if they would have actually pulled that off. Just let them have their own network and we all would have been saved. But that's University of Texas. So, again, it's not a commentary on the school or the athletics. It's just, I think, for people that are in this time zone on the West Coast, it's just not a fit. I would say the same thing about Memphis. Just not a fit. It doesn't, I think when you look at the breakdown of the schools, it just doesn't feel like that would be a natural fit for Oregon State, Washington State, and the Mountain West schools. Eventually, will it expand? Eventually, will some of those other schools come back? Who knows? All right, that's enough of me stalling that I finally found the damn thing. All right, Ryan Divish joins us every week, usually on Wednesdays, but we did it today with Canzano having to move to tomorrow. So I asked Divish, hey, we want to come on today. Here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to play the whole Divish thing. Normally, we play like 15 minutes of it, and then the rest would be for Puck's Posse members. Posse members, don't get upset with me. We're going to play the whole thing today for you. Ryan Divish, me and Divish talking baseball. We talk Bryce Miller situation, bunting. God, we get a lot of bunting. He admits something finally on bunting. Of course, we got to get an update on the Havre North Stars. That's where he's at right now in Havre, Montana. Here he is, Ryan Divish, our weekly chat from Havre, Montana. Here he is. It's our MLB Insider. It's Ryan Divish from Havre, Montana, the coach of the Havre North Stars. He's our good friend. He is our insider, and he joins us every week to talk Mariners baseball. Now, on a special day, it's Tuesday. We're moving him up a day for this week, just for this week only. He's always brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, proudly serving the community since 1941, located in Tacoma's historic Proctor District. Chalet Bowl has been family-owned and operated for 40 years, delivering top-notch customer service and a unique 12-lane experience. Check them out at chaletbowl.com to book your next reservation. 1 week ago, you turned 50. How has your life changed in that week?
Well, I find myself watching Discovery Channel, like Curse of Oak Island and, that kind of stuff. I'm, looking to go eat dinner about 4:30 every day. And I feel perfectly comfortable saying, offensive things because I'm drinking and I'm old.
It is funny when you get older, you do progressively just eat earlier and earlier.
Mm-hmm. It's bad.
It's bad for everyone. I mean, it's too early. What's too early? When do you eat dinner?
I don't know. Probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock most nights because of we practice at 5:45 or we have stuff going on. So it's usually pretty late. I'm usually watching the Mariners
while you're eating.
While I'm eating, which probably not good for your digestive tract. I mean, watching them play of late, but
Let's get an update on the Havre North Stars, as I'm, of course, a family member of the Havre North Stars. 9-5-1.
Yeah.
Let's go. Boys are playing good baseball.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Like, we went 3-0-1 at our Wood Bat Jamboree tournament this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, we beat Butte, which is a good team. We beat them.
Yeah, screw Butte.
We beat them by one. The first night we won. It was a 0-0 game going into the 7th, and we won on a walk-off pass ball. Our leadoff hitter got on, stole second, stole third, and it was definitely, I think, kind of got the pitcher a little rattled, and he uncorked a pass ball, and we were able to score and win a 1-0 walk-off win. We had 2 hits, they had 3. And then Saturday, we won our first game on a walk-off. Nicely executed. We had a runner on second late in the game. bunted him over to third. They misplayed the bunt.
Excuse me. You did what did you do? No. What did you do with the runner at second?
We bunted him to third.
That's allowed? You allow that?
I called it, actually.
Wow.
I am in late inning games, a tie game, if you're the home team, you have a runner on second, nobody out. I don't mind bunting the runner over. And in Legion baseball, where anything can happen, we bunted the ball up the first base line. The guy mishandled it a little bit and then tried to fire it to first, and the first baseman kind of mishandled it and dropped it. So I just kept sending the runner that was coming around third, and he scored, so we won that one.
Kind of weird when you bunt the ball. Sometimes good things happen.
We celebrated that shit like we won Game 7 of the World Series, I think.
Good for you.
And then we tied. We had like a back-to-back games on the Saturday. We tied. I wasn't real pleased with how we hit. So then on Sunday, we won pretty easily, I think. We run ruled them 12-4 or something.
Hey, folks, audience, he's being humble. They are riding. Technically, I'd call it a 6-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Within there is a tie.
Yeah.
They're on a roll, are the Havre North Stars. Blowing up Montana right now is the top Legion baseball team in the state. Are you number one yet?
No. I was pretty upset with them after the Saturday night game just because we didn't swing very aggressively. My stepson struck out looking on 3 straight breaking balls on one. I was kind of like a little irritated with their approach and their intensity and their intent on their swings. And then next day we came out and really pounded. I think we had 12 runs. We scored 5 or 6 in the first inning. I mean, literally the kid that was pitching against us, after we hit our 3rd or 4th double of the inning, he just walked off the mound and said he was hurt. Which I don't know that his coach thought he was hurt, but
I've seen that one. I've seen that act before.
Yeah. So
my arm doesn't feel good. Oh, it doesn't?
Yeah. But I legitimately think that the reason we were so aggressive and played so well is that there was about 15 high school girls all lined up on the one side because it was 85 out. So they're all, and as having a high school daughter, nobody wears any clothing anymore. So they're all
they sure don't.
And the sun there on the one side. And I think that's why our players were so aggressive. Because I literally heard one of our players say after he lashed his single, it was so hard. He goes, "I'm picking up at least 3 snaps off of that swing around."
3 snaps.
So they don't get numbers; they get their snaps. So it's like
so dumb.
I know this is my life that I deal with, but
hey, I'm right there with you. I know exactly what's going on. I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
You can always reach out to me. We can talk about what's going on. You know what I was thinking about? That the fact that you actually used a bunt to your advantage.
And they didn't use a bunt last night?
There's that. There's that, and then there's the Dylan Moore not tagging up.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Like, that was a bad read.
But why do you – okay, I could give my own opinion why that element of the game has gone away. And I get it. But why, from your perspective, why do you think that's disappeared from the game, especially at the professional level?
The bunting one? Just because it's a waste of an out. Like, there's only 27 outs in a game, and like giving a team an out, sometimes they think there's more value in it. Like,
that's always been the case, though. I mean, for as long as we've watched baseball in the 60s, 70s, 80s, that was always the case.
Part of the problem is like, and I was trying to point this out to fans a few years ago with that team, the Mariners struck out in 30% of their at-bats. Why would you waste an out to bunt a runner to second just to watch 2 guys strike out? They didn't put the ball in play enough.
Yeah, it is dependent on it. If your team can put the ball in play, you can use that to your advantage for sure.
Yeah, and
if you strike out a bunch, then it doesn't make sense. But there is still I guess the thing is there still is a time and place for it at every level.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much these teams work on it anymore. And when properly executed, see what it does though, and you're a prime example of it. And I know it's not professional baseball. It causes chaos.
Yeah.
I think teams, even though these guys are professional, I think for them, my God, it's bunted down the third baseline. Now the third baseman's got to run in. He's got to he's got to pick it up. He's got to make a play at first. And all of a sudden, it's just like, shit, like that's all got to be great. And then if the first baseman doesn't catch it, I mean, then it's just guys are running all around the place. So,
well, and I think part of it too is just like, when you do it, when maybe you're not expecting it, you're more likely to have success. Like Mariners aren't a big bunting team. But yeah, it's just, I think big part of it is teams just don't want to waste out. And there's a lot of data that says that, like, especially sack bunting a runner to second doesn't increase your chances of scoring as much. Now, if you look at the numbers, with no outs, sack bunting a runner to third, so you can set up basically a fly ball or force the infield to come in, especially late in games. You sack bunt a runner to third with less than 2 outs, and then it forces the infield to have to play the infield on the grass to cut the runoff at home. That opens up more scoring opportunities in that way.
Right.
No, we bunted. It was fine. I don't enjoy it. My players don't enjoy it. I want to tell them, if you don't like bunting, hit better, get on base more, steal more bases. We don't have to do that. As my stepson walks by right now, looking at me, shaking his head.
Well, it is weird. One of the head scratchers of this season, as we're talking bunting, has been these weird times where Jorge Polanco has decided to lay down a bunt.
No, those aren't weird. It means he just can't. He doesn't feel like he can hit.
Okay, so that's more about he can't swing.
Yeah,
but he's also done it from the left. He's done it from the left side though too.
Yeah, he did it the one night. I was still covering. I think it was against Detroit, and we asked him. He goes, "I made a mistake." I think he didn't know how many outs there were, but that's okay.
Okay. Why do you think they didn't do it yesterday? I mean, listen, he is in a slump. He isn't hitting that well. Although at the same time, I could also say the guys that run, Cal's at second. He gets a base hit with Cal speed. He's going to score no matter what. So I don't have a problem with him not doing it last night in the 10th inning.
Well, I think when you're the visiting team, a lot of times you don't feel like one run's good enough because I think a lot of managers assume that most teams will score the one run more often than not, unless you have your ace pitcher, like your best closer coming out in that situation to close it out. Most managers assume that one run isn't going to be good enough to do that, so don't play for it, especially with the top of your order. I mean, he's batting left-handed, so all he has to do is pull a ground ball through the right side to the right side of the infield. It works like a bunt. Of course, Murillo was throwing 100, and the other factor was you didn't know what the ump was going to call, so it was like maybe and like a lot of times like these bunts. And I've tried to tell people this, and they don't fucking believe me, and I don't know why. It's like, why would I lie to them? Like, the percentages of bunts and steals in baseball are not called by the bench. Like when Jorge Polanco bunted that one time, Dan Wilson didn't tell him to do that. When they bunt in the first and second inning, they don't tell him to do that.
Yeah.
No, and so it's like, this isn't high school. This isn't, you aren't told when to do it. They expect you to understand the situations. There are obviously sometimes where like I said, like that runner at second situation, they will tell you, hey, let's bunt this over. Make sure you get them over any way possible. Don't make it, if you're going to make it out, get them over.
Right.
But, like in that situation, my guess was they're thinking, well, the odds of, they just would rather have Polanco try and get the single or hit a ball to the right side. He's batting left-handed, pull the ball to the right side, you move him over, get the run.
Yeah,
But
that's the least of the worries of the game last night. The Dylan Moore decision. Why do you think he did not go?
My guess is it was his read down. Now they, like when we do it or when high school kids do it or whatever, or even college, the rule is any ball to right field in the air and even deep center, you're tagging. If you're a runner on second, no matter what, you're always tagging.
Right.
But again, like, I think Dylan's thinking is like, okay, if he doesn't make this catch, then I score easily, and, maybe you draw a throw from second all the way or draw a throw to home from the outfield, allowing another runner to move to second. But in my mind, my thinking is you're going to get to third with less than 2 outs, because that would have been the first out, correct?
Yep, because he's at second base.
Yes.
Yep.
So you tag. And Corbin Carroll does not have a strong arm.
Right,
so
and then Cole Young followed up with the hit.
Yeah, so that's the frustrating aspect of it all. Is like if you tag up and play it the old school way and you tag up and go, my guess is and I don't know, I didn't get a chance to read Tim's game stories if Dylan probably just got a misread on the ball and thought it was going to be down. And
I think Wilson said he agreed with him not going.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is like sometimes those guys, they'd rather get halfway so they can score, make sure they score on it, believing, But to me, you got like that's the thing too, is like they don't want to waste an out when you're the top of the order, you're the visiting team, but the percentage of times where you lose if you don't score the run in that first inning, or if you're the visiting team, it's like pretty high. So you got to score there. You got to get one run, because you got to assume that the other team's going to score their run. So you got to get one run.
Is this the offense, what we've seen here now, this has gotten longer than a month, this is 6-7 weeks. Is this the offense you thought you were going to see?
Yeah, it is. Oh, well, I mean, I didn't expect that first month when Jorge Polanco and Dylan Moore running out WRC pluses like close to 200. I don't know. This is more. I mean, think about where they'd be if they didn't have Cal Raleigh in the lineup. I mean, you don't even reverse their records. You're probably talking you take away 6 or 7 wins alone from him, just because of the number of home runs he's hit and the times he's hit them. So, yeah, this is what I thought it would be more. Obviously, it's not. It's a different looking offense because it doesn't have Victor Robles in it. I felt like he did a lot of things, but you're actually getting better production from J.P. Crawford in terms of on-base percentage. You don't have the stolen base factor that Robles brought, but that his production, JP's productions, helped offset the absence of Robles. But yeah, had Robles been in there, maybe that would help them. I mean, he seemed to be doing a lot of the same things he was doing last year. But you're kind of getting what you expected out of Rowdy Tellez. You're getting what you expected out of, Randy is pretty streaky. And if you look at his numbers last year, they're pretty much where this is kind of who he is, I think. You don't have Luke Raley in there, and I think that hurts him. Hopefully they get him back, because right field has just been a suck since Robles has been gone. It's just an offensive suck. It just drains out the thing. Like the bottom of their order is getting real flat, real fast. Mm-hmm. I mean, even you look at Cole. What does he have? 3 hits. They're getting in that spot again where there's not. He's
getting better though. His last few games have been way better.
Yeah, I mean, but Tavares was a 0. I mean, he was striking out at 30% of the time. I mean, that's just, I understand all the reasons why they tried to fix him and they took a chance on him, but because he does have talent, you can see he has obvious talent, but just
nice to get that $3.5 million back.
They
of the time you spend money, then you spend it on that.
Their ability to invest dollars in major league hitters is kind of like my decision to trade away a bunch of stuff for Mike Greenwell baseball cards in 1988, 1990.
Yeah, can they get it back? Can they just ask him for the money back? Hey, man, I know, listen, we agreed to pay it, but is there any chance we can just get some of it back?
Yeah, it's.
I don't think we really got what we wanted out of it. So
no, and that's one thing. Like the Tavares thing though was like an opportunity move.
Yeah.
Same with like Robles, and
that's where they were hoping for.
Yeah, but but you do have to question, I think, at times their ability to evaluate major league hitting and how it projects to their lineup and everything else.
But why? That's been the problem for a decade.
No, that's what I mean. Like for a while.
But why though? What is the? Like I look at an organization that is so good at evaluating pitching, but it does not translate to the other side.
Yeah. But
it's like the greatest mystery of this organization, of this front office.
They're not really signing. They're not investing in free agent pitchers, and like the guys. Like Castillo, they went out and got him when he was in his prime. They traded for him. With the hitters, they're getting a lot of these guys when they're coming off injuries. They're looking at bounce back seasons. They're older. But they're cheap. They're cheaper. Yeah, they're not acquiring them at their prime times. I guess because even the trades that they've made, I guess Winker technically was but there were flaws with that guy. Mm-hmm. That's an issue you look at is like, when are they getting these hitters? But at the same time, also maybe some of the hitters they're passing up because they don't want to spend the extra money too. I think the money factor and what they're willing or able to spend definitely plays into it. But at the same time too, you're trading for these guys, you're making trades. And I guess maybe the two sometimes is the impetus of the trades and the reasons they're doing it. Like with Randy Arozarena, they went out and got probably the best available bat on the market because they needed it. Even with Turner, they went out and traded for guys that they needed to address a need. But like when they traded for Mitch Haniger, again, that was more about the money and getting Robbie Ray's contract off, and then also addressing a need. Bad. The Giants were kind of done with Mitch. Mariners said, "We'll take him back. It's a money swap." Like the Jesse Winker, Colton Wong thing was like the Mariners didn't like Winker. He was bad. It was a bad contract swap for a bad contract swap. Like Wong wasn't going to be a part of the Brewers rotation. So like a lot of the times the motivation for the trades haven't been ideal. When they've been motivated to add a guy that they feel is a high-level producer and they only have to give up prospects and not spend money, they've been a little bit better, but I wouldn't say exceedingly great. I mean, they gave up 4 guys for Jorge Polanco, and what's he done, really? Knowing that injuries were a factor with this guy. How
aggressive do you think they'll be?
For a bat?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think they'll be exceedingly aggressive.
So they're going to go you think this is finally the summer where they're like,
I don't know.
We got to be uber aggressive.
I don't know that they'll be uber aggressive. And really one of their best chips or one of their best value pieces, Logan Evans, all of a sudden has more value to the Mariners.
You need him.
Yeah, they need him now. Like that changes the math considerably. Yeah. Changes all this stuff, like how they're thinking, well, Robles is going to be back till like August now. That changes your math and your timeline.
Yeah.
And a lot of it depends on what teams decide here, probably right around the All-Star break. Like, whatever you look at the Diamondbacks and they have a nice team. They have a really good team, but they're in the same division as the Padres and the Dodgers. Like what is their path to get there? And if Corbin Burns is out for a long time, I mean, like that doesn't help them. Maybe they just walk away from Geno, and you're not going to have to give up a lot of prospects to get Geno, unless they get some salary relief, somebody like that. I mean, that's kind of where they're at. They need help at third base, first base, right field. And if, that's a lot of positions. It's exactly where they were when the season started.
Exactly. They found themselves right back where they were.
Well, they didn't need help in right field. They just needed first.
Yeah. That's right. It was first base, third base,
and then second base.
Second base and DH.
Yeah.
I mean, in all reality, that was.
So they went out and got
those were all the holes, and they didn't do anything.
They got Polanco and Donnie Barrels, and that's about it. And then and that's where they were at financially, and it's where they were at for a lot of other things. And do you think the results are what they are, kind of?
Yeah, and I mean, he goes. God, when was the quote from DePoto? Must have been a month and a half ago, where he was like, and this is when they're winning games, scoring runs, and he's like, "This is the best, most complete roster we've ever had." It's something like that.
I mean,
and I think since then it's just been. I mean, honestly, I think since he uttered that is when the downward spiral started. I gotta find that exactly. Because I want to remember the exact quote of what he said, because it's like he said it and then they've gone in this offensive
I just don't
downward
think
spin.
I don't know that you can label your roster complete when you have glaring, like you're piecing together your defense because you're trying to avoid playing one guy that's hurt, another guy whose first base is in his primary position, like you're trying to. You're using a platoon of utility guys as your second base job. I mean, like I don't think that you can say it's complete. You can say it's got better depth or anything, but I don't think it's complete. And if you're saying that roster was the most complete it's been since, whatever, I think then you're just setting yourself up for, the rosters haven't been pretty bad or have been pretty bad in the years past. And I mean, to me, the 2023 team had a better roster than this team does.
God, I'm gonna find it before we're done recording this. I'm gonna find that quote that he gave, because it was just like It's looking back on it now. You're like, my God, man. It's just it's tough where they're at right now. Okay, so hey, this is random, and I know what I'm about to say, and people are gonna like, you are an idiot, and that's fine because I normally am. Not normally, I am an idiot.
You're consistent.
Consistently an idiot.
Yeah.
But there's got to be somebody else out there who agrees with me. There's got to be one person.
Okay.
There's a player on the team that rubs me the wrong way, and he does every time he's on the team. And that would be Canzano.
Why?
I don't like the way he acts. He acts like he's a 10-time All-Star.
Oh, and he hit the homer or what?
And I get that he hit the homer. It's the first time he's played there. It's against his former team. But he does that all the time. So it's not just that team. Mm-hmm. He acts that way all the time. But that's not where when he did it, I'm like, okay. And I get it. They tied the game. He should show emotion. I'm not one of these guys that don't show emotion. It's just when he does it, it bothers me. But what bothered me was in the 11th inning when he struck out. And he starts, and I get it. It was a bad call, and he's barking at the home plate umpire. I'm like, you're a quad A player. Just go back to the dugout and shut up. I mean, honestly. But he just comes across, again, this is me, and maybe I'm completely a minority, and maybe people love him. He just comes across, I was thinking about it last night watching, as if he's like a 10-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, and one of the best players in baseball. Because, like, those guys act that way, not guys like him.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. That's my rant.
I don't know. To me, if I hit a ball 450 feet with that kind of power,
I know,
I'd probably be running around the bases with my shirt off, waving it above my head.
You're right. I'm the asshole. I know.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Puckett, you hit a drive 300 yards, you're doing the freaking Happy Gilmore dance down the field. And that only happens like once every year.
Never. It's never going to happen. Never, ever going to happen. All right, that's just
I mean,
me.
I was happy for that umpire sucked last night.
Yeah.
Dude, he was so bad.
Yeah, he was rough.
I mean, think about it. If they had the ABS system in the challenges. What if you ran out of challenges and you're in the 10th? That guy's just like...
Yeah, you're screwed. Hey, the Bill Kruger had an opinion about this.
Shockingly, Bill Kruger had an opinion about something? Was it about pitch counts or pitcher usage?
Kind of both, but IL stint.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like the way he does not like the way they've used the IL with these guys, and in particular, he doesn't like how they used it with Miller. Now Miller's back on it, and Logan Evans is going to start on today, which is Tuesday. Yeah. And he says, "Listen, he doesn't like the way they use it, where they spend a couple of starts down there, and then when they come back up, they're like still rehabbing at the major league level." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Well, once they should be." His point is, once they're called up here, they should be ready to go.
Mm-hmm. So he doesn't like if they come up and they're on like a 70 pitch limit or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't like if they go to 70, and then it's 75, and then they build up. He's like, once they come up, they got to be full bore, ready to throw whatever they're 100, go 7 innings.
Yeah.
What do you make of how they've used that this year? Because they have guys that were pitching great. I mean, Logan Evans was fine.
Yeah, it's like, sorry. I haven't had my Adderall yet this morning.
Okay.
I had a Celsius though, lemon lime Celsius, man. If you mix
I don't
that
touch
with
those.
vodka,
I'm out.
Well, you got heart issues, so.
Yeah.
No, so like it's something that's happened more and more. I mean, I remember the Mariners doing it at times in years past. I want to say with Marco and with a couple other guys. And in that situation, to me, it was always like they did it because whoever they were going to start that day, they would rather have 70 pitches of, like, so if we're talking about Bryce, he'd rather have 70 pitches of Bryce Miller, 75 pitches of Bryce Miller versus whoever, they would put out. Mm-hmm. Your results would still be better at 75 pitches. But in the current scenario where Logan Evans was pitching pretty well, you have Hancock pitching pretty well, like, the idea of trying to get these guys back, that soon on a limited number does seem a little bit curious. But there's a thinking among some development people and some staffs is like, yeah, you can send them down to rehab or whatever, and they go down to rehab, but it's just not the same. And so what you're getting out of it, you're not getting the same level of adrenaline. You're not getting the same level of intensity that you would get at the MLB level. So it doesn't really carry over into what you need at the MLB level. And honestly, like, let's say even if like they had taken George up to about 95 pitches or 90 pitches at the AAA level, again, in their mind is if we're going to take a guy to 90, we'd rather have him 90 at the big league level, not 90 at the MLB level. And so, and honestly, even if they had taken a guy up to 90 at the AAA level and brought him back the next week, I doubt they would go 90 again. They would still probably keep him at 75 because they're trying to monitor. Just because I just think that the intent and, because you can sit there and say what you want. And I guess it's the whole argument about non-save situations for closers. But the jump from AAA to big leagues, for a pitcher and their mindset and what they're trying to do is significantly different. A lot of times for these pitchers that are pitching in AAA on a rehab assignment, they're just trying to get through it without getting hurt, and get their work in and get the hell out of there. It's like a spring training start.
So I finally found it. Dipoto said, where was it back? This is like a month and a half ago, where he said this was the most complete positional group he's ever had during his tenure in Seattle. Okay. So if I'm going back, and I'm going to credit Nathan Bishop because he did the homework on this one. June 5th. This was the last time he had it on June 5th to look at it. So coming into that, so since he made those comments, they were hitting now 217, 285, and 357. And so they've just been on a complete downward spiral since he made those comments. Let's say they don't turn it around and they continue to kind of play like this, and they ended up missing it by a few games like they have the last few years. Do you think ultimately this is finally the time? He's had enough. This organization, the front office, the ownership group finally makes a decision and pivots and goes someplace else, and he loses his job? Or do you think he still has enough equity with them? They still like what he's been doing, that his job is safe?
I don't know. It's hard to really understand this ownership group because I would have said a year ago that it would have been in jeopardy, And so they make these moves, and the one thing is like if they like Dan and they have Dan here, it's a heck of a lot harder to go out and hire a new president or GM, a new president of baseball ops when you don't, and tell them, oh yeah, we'll let you do everything you want, but you can't fire the manager. I mean, like,
right?
Is that, that's I don't know. I mean, like, you can look at a lot of things that he's done and say, okay, yeah, this is good. I mean, even like somebody would say, well, he doesn't do the actual scouting of these draft picks and everything. Yeah, but he hired the right person to do it. The director of amateur scouting, Scott Hunter, and the group, and how they handle it, and the analytics group. I mean, he helped put that together. And Jerry loves the draft more than anything. So that's kind of one of his things. So, I mean, there is a lot of value in that. You look at the players that are out there now, and your largest contributors, they are guys that he drafted. They drafted, Cal. They signed Julio, not international. Although I don't know if that was under Zorinsky or not when Julio signed. I know that Tim Kistner, the guy who signed Julio, isn't with the org anymore. But, all your pitchers drafted, developed, Williamson, Cole Young, Cal. I mean, that's a lot of guys that that's important. That's an important part of the job. But there is an art to putting together a major league roster to make it work. I mean, people always said Pat Gillett could do it better than anybody else. And he'd gut your farm system, and you would, after your window of success for 4 years, you would never have anybody else left. But, putting it together, there is an art form to putting together a major league roster and making it work and having it survive and be successful. And, you can look at the results and say, well, he hasn't been able to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's just funny because he made. I was just searching this up. When he made those comments, this most complete positional group he's ever had. He made similar comments almost 2 years ago in a spring training interview.
Yeah, it's probably
like the same thing.
Yeah, it might have been with me, I think.
I mean, it's and he's known for this. We're kind of just recycling all this kind of stuff, over and over again. All right, so Miller's back. Evans is up. We'll see how long. I mean, this could be a lengthy stay maybe for Miller or not. I don't know. And then you got Logan Gilbert throwing a rehab start in Tacoma, and he should be back. We assume this is the last one for him, and then he's back in the big league club next week.
That's my guess. I mean, the thing with Bryce is bone spurs don't go away. Cortisone wasn't going to fix it. It just helps alleviate the inflammation in there. As somebody who's had 3 cortisone shots in his elbow and 2 in each shoulder, a couple in the knee, never get one in the oblique. That's one of the worst.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, one on my heel. Cortisone is just helps get the inflammation out. It doesn't fix it. He's going to have a procedure at some point to get the bone spurs removed, shaved down or removed. If you shave them down, it's less invasive. If you remove them and really get them down, it take more time, but it won't get better. And then the concern is if you're throwing with these bone spurs and you do something different, does it put pressure on your UCL or something else and then lead to a tear? And
then other issues. Well, let's hope that you don't get a cortisone shot here soon. All right, there he is, our MLB insider Ryan Divish, head coach of the red hot Havre North Stars. Folks, if you're driving through Montana and you're driving past Havre, stop on in. You are witnessing. This is like the 2001 Mariners right now.
Yeah,
you're witnessing history at the Legion level.
We just played 4 games in 3 days. We took Monday off. Now we have to play. We're playing today a doubleheader in Conrad, Montana.
How long's the drive to Conrad?
2.5 hours or 2 hours, maybe. Not bad.
That's not bad.
And then we come back. Tomorrow we go to Great Falls, play another doubleheader. Take Thursday off. And then we travel to Three Forks, Montana, which is right outside of Los Angeles, and we play 5 games there in a tournament. My guys, we're going to play 4, 9, 7. We're going to play 16 games over the next 15 days, I think.
Go get them. Go get them, Skip.
As my one buddy said, you're going to stroke out on these people before one of these kids one of these days.
This could be the trip. When you see the bus driving by on the freeway, honk. The North Stars. You got it painted like Hoosiers?
No, we don't have it yet. We don't have it painted yet. It's new. At least the air conditioning works. Fingers crossed.
There you go. All right. Good luck on your trip. Thank you, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds good, man.
There's our guy, Ryan Divish. Full episode with Divish today. Big thanks to him carving out the time a day earlier than normal. John Canzano will be on the program tomorrow. But a lot of good stuff there from Ryan Divish. We gave you the full show there of this week's. For Puck's Posse members, don't kill me, don't hate me. Normally we just give you like 15 minutes, but we decided to give you the whole thing today since we did it a day earlier. But normally, if you want to listen to the whole thing, sign up to become a Puck's Posse member. All you got to do is go to pucksports.com, top of the webpage. It will take you there for your listening and viewing pleasure. I know the Canzone take is a bad one. I get it. I don't know. Everyone's got their thing. And he just rubs me the wrong way. He always has. I don't know. I just don't like the way he acts. It's the kiss and the pimping home runs all the time. And it's not the only time he does that. Like yesterday because of the team that it was against. He always does it. I don't know. For a guy who's up and down in the minors, it's just kind of weird that he acts that way. He carries himself as like a everyday starter. We all have our weird things that we obsess about. It's just the weird thing I do, okay? Don't kill me for it. Kill the opinion, fine. Just don't kill me. Let's wrap up the show. with Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, North Seattle franchise. Listen, I'm excited about the Pac-12 and the future of the Pac-12 and the news coming out last night. Ross Dellinger and John Canzano has more on it up at johncanzano.com. They have agreed to their Bill of Rights. The grant of rights, excuse me, not the Bill of Rights. Their grant of rights deal with the 5 Mountain West schools, Oregon State, Washington State, and Gonzaga. Still need to add an 8th member for football. I'm discouraged that it appears, according to reporting from John Canzano, that UNLV is less and less of an option. We'll ask John about that tomorrow when he joins the show. Just a day later, he was off for his daughter's graduation. I'm just not excited about Texas State. I'm just not. And again, maybe we'll all warm up to Texas State eventually. It's nothing against you Texas State fans or the university or any of them. It just doesn't seem like those schools that are based on the West Coast and the mountain schools should be in the same conference with Texas State. It's not. Texas obviously make a different decision there years ago with them in Oklahoma, but it just doesn't do it for me. Does it mean it's the survival for now for the conference that they can move forward and play? Yes, so I guess I'll take some comfort in that. But moving forward, no, I'm not going to get excited to go to a road trip to San Marcos to go play the Bobcats. But it's the same thing for Memphis. I know people are excited about Memphis. I didn't want to see Memphis in the conference. So I was really hoping it was going to be UNLV. I think UNLV is making a massive mistake, but I also think that UNLV's up to something. And my guess is UNLV ends up somehow in the Big 12. That Yormark guy is a great, great commissioner of his conference, and they're doing a lot of business in Vegas. I think he looks at UNLV as an untapped resource. My guess is they end up in the Big 12. And it's going to be another time where the Big 12 is taking the legs out of the Pac-12. But sorry, not excited about Texas State. All right. Shoot me. I tell you what, the Puck brought to you by Restoration One in North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Give them a call, 206-817-8917. All right, give them a call. They're going to take care of you. Restoration1.com, North Seattle franchise. Big thanks, everybody, watching and listening today. Thanks to all our sponsors, Lindback Lumber, Georgetown Brewery, Chalet Bowl. Catch today's and Restoration One. Catch today's Daily Puck Drop up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel when you're there. Almost to 5,000. Let's get there fast and soon. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms and, of course, at pucksports.com. When you're at pucksports.com, sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. $5 a month is all it costs you to support all the free stuff we do daily. Plus, we give you VIP and bonus shows like our MLB Insider show with Ryan Divish, which is open to everyone today. Sports Pit with Steve Sandmeyer and Matt Stretch Johnson. New episode is out this week, hour and 40 minutes of just laughter. Mitchie the Kid, who joins us on Thursdays during the live show, and then once it's over, he goes just for Pucks Posse members. And then, of course, now we produce the Garage with Gas Take 5 podcast, which is out every Monday. You can find that on YouTube, all podcast platforms, and, of course, at pucksports.com. Thank you again. Thank you, as always, for making us a choice here. For 90 minutes out of your day. It means the world to me. So thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow. John Canzano will be joining the show. Also, Travis Fulton and the go-to guy on the Daily Puck Drop. We'll talk to you then. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!